Hey, Shalom, Shalom. Just bear with me adjusting my sound here. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. This is Naaman with the DC camp once again. Branch of Grace, making another video. Call hello, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Rakaha, and of course, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who deserve double honors. Therefore, all right, rule well. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and the byways. All right, pushing this truth with the assistance of numerous videos that they also post on a daily. And we do this for education. All do so higher. Hopefully elect of our people. All right, that's what. All right. So, as it looks now, looks like Canada. The Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use, fair use, fair use. All right. I do these and use these videos merely as a teaching tool. Nothing more. I'm not profiting whatsoever off of it. This is someone else's work. It's just, all right, useful for what I'm talking about here, and I expound on it. All right, so as we've been telling you for the longest, these people that serve the elites, that's who we're talking about here, the president of France and his other, that's all I'm going to say on that. But it looks like Candace was on to something. French government admits Brigitte, Macron. Oui, oui. Let's go into it.
So, according to the French tax registry, Brigitte Macron's a man. And not just a man, but Jean-Michel Trogneau. So, all of this time, when I followed the Candace's entire investigation into Brigitte Macron, I followed her investigation into Kamala Harris, and I knew the evidence was rock solid. I knew what she was putting out there to me, just going through it. And I even went into the archives, these French archives, translated it. It's a whole website you can go to with all the evidence that the journalists have put together throughout the years, over a decade, I believe at this point, of showing that Brigitte Macron is actually Jean-Michel Trogneau. And there's a lot of details into it. If you have not caught up to it, or if you just were like, no, Candace is just crazy for saying this, without actually looking at the evidence, I don't know how you could do that.
And again, this is my first time running across her website. This is Melanie. Wow. Damn. No, Candace was a little stressed out because these people had threatened to sue, as you would imagine. And looks like, at least for the moment, Candace has, been redeemed a little bit. But they're gonna, just, and this is something that we're gonna continually pay attention to because, wow, just wow.
Or make that assertion without seeing the evidence. But when I saw it for myself, did my own research, that's the conclusion I came to in my personal belief. Can I prove it? No, I cannot prove it. I can't, I don't have access to that. But now, it looks like we do have some more proof. There was plenty of proof in the investigation. And now this. So take a look. It says Macron's wife is a man in the tax registry. Brigitte Macron, the wife of the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, is registered as a man in the tax registry. This was reported by the BFM TV channel, citing a representative of the First Lady of France, Tristan Bramet. Now it says, according to the BFM, Brigitte recently discovered that on a French tax website, her gender is listed as male and the name is recorded as Jean Michel. The First Lady has already filed a complaint. Sure. And she's also, they has come out and said they're going to submit evidence, photographic evidence that she's a woman and all these other things. But I'm sorry. Like they aren't even in the discovery process. Just saying you're going to submit something to the court and you haven't even gone through I don't even think they've had an initial court date, like to even do anything like that. I'm not sure if they just don't understand how U.S. law works or how our court systems work, but that's not how it works. So anything that you're hearing from their side, just understand they have had plenty of time, years at this point, or over a year, I will say, since Candace started talking about this in 2024. About the details of what was going of this entire thing. They were presented facts, evidence, all of these things to refute, over and over again, and they never refute it. They never speak to the actual facts. It's just a bunch of anyone saying this is crazy, it's a conspiracy theory, this is a woman, look at it, it looks like a woman. It doesn't to me and to most people. But again, I'm just going off of the evidence that I have. If they want to submit something that actually shows something else, then please do it by all means. Now, there is this report, like it says, from the actual TV station. I tried to find the original, which I did find the original. It's all in French. There's some translation in this, but I think I'm going to try to completely get it translated so you guys can see this report. It's about a 30-minute thing. This one is very short, but I'll play it quickly. And then I want to show you some of the things that Candace has said, some of the evidence, just a little bit of the tidbits, because otherwise we would be here for weeks trying to go over everything that she presented. But I encourage you to actually watch that series and see it for yourself, because I don't see how anyone can deny it. And outside of just being a man, all right, there are some very dark and disturbing, I'll say PDF file, I'll say it that way, pedo things that are undeniable, that link back to Brigitte Macron as well as Emmanuel Macron. And it is very dark and disturbing. And it even gets to the point, even in Candace's investigation, outside of that possibly, and there's tons of evidence to point to this, that Brigitte Macron is actually blood related to her husband, Emmanuel Macron, potentially actually being his father. This is allegedly, but if you look at the evidence, it's very, very strong. But let's listen to this and then we'll get into more of it.
Dans le bureau de la première dame, c'est une découverte qui a semé un vent de panique.
Madame Macron, comme beaucoup de Français, va consulter son espace personnel sur le site impôts.gouv.fr. Elle se connecte et elle voit dans la partie en haut à droite qu'il n'y a pas écrit Brigitte Macron, mais qu'il y a marqué Jean-Michel, dit Brigitte Macron. Et donc là, vous avez, au-delà du haut le cœur, vous êtes totalement surpris.
Tristan Bramet s'exprime pour la première fois. Il est le directeur de cabinet de Brigitte Macron et son plus proche collaborateur depuis 2017.
Je refais la manipulation avec elle, je regarde, effectivement, c'est une partie qui est réservée à votre identifiant, c'est-à-dire votre identité, et c'est une partie que vous ne pouvez pas modifier. Madame Macron porte plainte avec son avocat pour savoir, en fait, pour qu'il y ait une enquête, pour savoir d'où ça vient. Et donc les enquêteurs ont identifié deux personnes.
So again, it was in French, but you can see what it was saying. And basically, someone who works for her, basically is coming out and speaking about it. But again, the whole thing is like over 30 minutes. I'm going to try to upload like I said, a translated version of it. But it's not.
Now you In 24 hackers altered French First Lady Brigitte tax portal account to list her as male under the name Jean Michel, fueling debunked conspiracy theories about her gender. A couple from that was arrested in February 2025 for the low-tech manipulation using a public forum connected to wider harassment, including pedophilia claims against President Emmanuel Macron. Paris prosecutors are now trying 10 individuals like Macron, while she pursues a U.S. suit against Keith Owens for promoting the false narrative. All right.
Just, this was trending on the 25th. And here it is, different people that are putting this out here. This one has 8.9 million views. Breaking French President Emmanuel Macron's wife, Brigitte Macron, discovered that her tax account on France's official government website. That is key. This is the official government website where you can go in and see the tax records. So this isn't some hacker or just some random website. This is coming from the government themselves, who they're supposed to represent. So how did that information get in there? Is the government website lying? And I'm actually surprised that no one has actually looked at this until now.
And that's key here. Government. All right. Government. Not saying it's impossible. All right. But government website.
Now, but it was trending all over the place. Different people are posting it. And now people are saying that Candace is justified. And I thought this was a funny one that I saw. It says, getting out my Candace apology form because what? So many people are saying Candace is lying. She's crazy. Why is she so obsessed with this woman's genitalia? What if she's trans? It's so much deeper than that. And to show you how much deeper it is, let's take a look at this. So this clip is Candace talking to Xavier Poussard, who is the original journalist that came out with all this information about Brigitte Macron, did all the research, actually had to flee France. There's several journalists involved that have been silenced and persecuted over this information, but this is where she got all of her research. Candace got this from him and other journalists and even citizens, people who watch what she calls mommy sleuths, who watch her channel, who have submitted even more information. So what you're hearing is he speaks in French, and then it's translated. So the voice that you're hearing.
And that's key. That's a key statement. She said mommy sleuths, because if you've noticed, and this has been brought out many times, it's Esau's own women that are spilling the beans on him for the most part. I mean, boy, these women, boy. Hey, it's a beautiful thing to see. But more important, this is what we've been trying to tell you all along. These people, that's all they are. All right? And I'm just going to keep it on the up and up. The jury's still out on this. But don't be surprised. All right? Hey, like I said, they're going to fight too. And even Candace, there was a video that she did, what was it, a week before last, I think it was, when, she's, one of these videos is, if something happens to me type of thing, I just want to let you know. Yeah, that type of video, because I think she senses that, she done switched sides, and by all appearance, that's what it looks like. All right, you never know what these people. So we'll see. But this is. Let me get some scriptures here. I didn't went this long. Remember this second death coming up, just as in the first, as a result of what? All the wickedness, all right, that's been done on the earth. Just as in Genesis 6 chapter, all right, where it talks about wickedness of man being so great on the earth, all right. Same as the second time around, all right. As it tells you in Luke 21st chapter and Matthew 24th chapter. chapter 1. All right. So let's get some of those scriptures real quick. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Hold on a second. Let's go to Romans real quick. Already quoted Luke 21 and Matthew 24. With Romans 1, let's start at around 28. All right. Because this is what you're dealing with. I mean, these people, like I said at the onset, they serve the elites, right? So they have all these rituals they were doing. You know, it tells you that in what is it, Wisdom of Solomon, it's the 12th chapter about the odious works, you know, and all that. This is Romans 1, and let's start again, bounce around in this. It says, and even as they did not like to retain the Most High in knowledge, these are Edomites. These are rulers of the world. Job 9 and 24, you think the Most High is in their thoughts? It tells you no. All right? If they claim to be, it's a front. You know, the Catholic Church and all those, you know, that's where it talks about the false prophets, just a cover. That was his way of, that's like, it lets you in to certain places. Religion, same thing. Might call it a back door or front door. That's up, you know. Make the case for both. All right. And even as they did not like to retain the Most High in their knowledge, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind. Let's go into. Let me hate that it resets all like that. I don't know why. Let's go into reprobate. Like I said, this thing is safe. Dokimos. Reprobates. Why is it taking? There we go. An unprincipled person. These are the people that are over us. All right. In Calvinism, it says archaic definition. Why is it? Anyway, a sinner who is not of the elect and is predestined to damnation. That part is very true. All right, because if they are not, even all Israelites are not promised to be saved. That's why Zechariah 13 and 8 is there. All right, unprincipled, express or feel disapproval of. Let's go to, I want to get the one with, yeah, let's go dictionary.com. I like doing that because it gives you the synonyms a lot more, makes it a lot more readily available. And I apologize for the delay. But I have this wandering Wi-Fi. Look at this. A depraved, unprincipled, or wicked person. What? Synonyms. Cad, rascal, wretch, miscreant, scoundrel. Uh-oh. There go that word, scoundrel, tramp, rogue. A person rejected by the Most High and beyond hope of salvation. That's Edom in general. It tells you in Hebrews 12 chapter, verses 16 and 17. In fact, let's go get this. It's over us. All right, let's go Hebrews 12. So there's no salvation for these so-called white people if they are in fact of the nation of Edom. So that blows that whole Christianity bullshit out the window. All right. Everyone can be saved. No. This is Hebrews 12 and 16. Lest there be any fornicator. What's a fornicator? All right. A male prostitute. As vino, that is, by analogy, a debauchee, as in debauchery, which means what? Whoremonger. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Profane person. Oh, it's just getting him all the way around. There's no escape, right? Heathenish. Just Esau, right? Get the hell out of here. Not supposed to feel sorry for that piece of shit. These are the people they've done, and they feel no remorse whatsoever. Trust me on that. They're incapable of such. Hebrews 12 and 16 again. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, and his descendants are the Edomites. Genesis 36 chapter. I suggest you read it. All right. Who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright in Genesis 25. All right. 17. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance. They can't even repent. Though he sought it carefully with tears. Genesis 27th chapter. Though he sought it carefully with tears. They were created for a specific person. Again, dictionary. Mercy. What do you think I just read? Philosophy. And that's not what the scriptures say. I just read to you what the scriptures say. And that's the key. Not told you. I read you. Gave you the definition of words. That's very important. And you still got our people with this Stockholm syndrome. They won't ask about any other nation when they come up to the line, except for, well, I don't see the white man on that sign. What was it? You know you got one right there. All right, back to the video.
Kind of sounds like AI, but it's just a translation of what he's saying as she's interviewing him or speaking to him.
Even the ages that they were presenting to the public were not correct of when they fell in love. Is that right?
A senior journalist in French public television wrote a book proposing and confronting all the narratives about how they met. This included information that Brigitte Macron had been his theater professor, not his French professor, and that he was in fact 14 and she 39 when they initially met. So in essence, it was a case of an adult involved with a minor. We were able to collect 5 exclusive photos of Jean-Michel Trogneau from the past, all in coherence, proving that Brigitte Macron is Jean-Michel Trogneau. From these, the age difference is actually greater. It is in fact a 14-year-old boy who initially met someone aged 47.
Wow.
So I assert to the public that Brigitte Macron is a man named Jean-Michel Trogneau who was born on February 11th, 1945.
Now, when this information came out, guys, we saw in Wikipedia, they actually, people have like documented, even Candace talks about how they, in Wikipedia, they changed the age. Like the age has changed throughout the years of when they met. I originally said that he was 15 and then she was 39 or 37, something around that. But then it started.
Which lets you know something else we've brought to the forefront. All right. And you all act like you didn't believe us, how they manipulate this information. All right, they know that people are onto them, so they keep switching up shit. All right, there's a reason some of you have some of these what do they call it? Behold, you'll go into like a blue letter Bible or something, and you wait a minute, that's not what that you should say.
Update in real time as people began to investigate this, especially here in the U.S. And so it's just the idea. Let's just say that they aren't related, right? Okay, let's just and say that she isn't a man, right, in a make believe world, but just the age difference, 14 and 47. That's how insane that is. But if you go into the investigation and you actually see how they allegedly met and then tie their families and all of these different things together, it on it creates a picture that this wasn't just some random teacher, right, at a school who was 47 years old and he was 14, but this was actually all kind of a charade, that it was just this random teacher, but it was actually a relative, that she is actually his relative or his father. Okay, so even with that information coming out, again, if you don't want to consider anything else, the idea that the president of France today and the first lady, that they got together while she was his teacher and she was 47 and he was 14 years old. That alone right there should have had people raising eyebrows, should have had people talking. But for some reason, this campaign to just, anytime anyone does these exposés or uncovers the truth, they want to mire it down with, it's all conspiracy theory, nothing could be proven, why do you care about their sexual blah blah blah. That's not what we're talking about. Okay, and for people to outright dismiss this, you need to really look at them very intensely and scrutinize what agenda do they have. Why are they glazing Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron? Why are they like defending a sitting president of a failing country right now? France is in turmoil. It's a mess. Okay. So when you look at that, why would, especially Americans, why would you have any skin in that? Why wouldn't you look at the evidence? Even if you don't like Candace, okay, fine, you don't like Candace, but that does not discredit the evidence. That doesn't discredit the journalists that have done the actual work, who wrote the original book that Candace just translated, just brought the information to an English-speaking audience. But listen to this one now.
It's time for you to wake up. So we will start from the top here with a photo of Brigitte Macron. Real name, Jean-Michel Trogneux. That person that you are looking at on right is not a woman. Okay? Here is a photo, by the way. Just over. Is not a woman. Okay? Here is a photo, by the way. Just over.
Energy supplies don't want you to know about this trick to warm up houses for practically zero cost. This space heater
this information, but this is where she got all of her research. Candace got this from him and other journalists and even citizens, people who watch what she calls mommy sleuths, who watch her channel, who have submitted even more information. So what you're hearing is he speaks in French, and then it's translated. So the voice that you're hearing, it kind of sounds like AI, but it's just a translation of what he's saying as she's interviewing him. Or 47. That's how insane that is. But if you go into the investigation and you actually see how they allegedly met and then tie their families and all of these different things together, it creates a picture that this wasn't just some random teacher, right, at a school who was 47 years old and he was 14. But this was actually all kind of a charade, that it was just this random teacher, but it was actually a relative, that she is actually his relative or his father. Okay. So even with that information coming out, again, if you don't want to consider anything else, the idea that the president of France today and the first lady, that they got together while she was his teacher and she was 47 and he was 14 years old. That alone right there should have had people raising eyebrows, should have had people talking. But for some reason, this campaign to just, anytime anyone does these exposés or uncovers the truth, they want to mire it down with, it's all conspiracy theory, nothing can be proven, why do you care about their sexual blah blah blah. That's not what we're talking about. Okay. And for people to outright dismiss this, you need to really look at them very intensely and scrutinize what agenda do they have. Why are they glazing Brigitte Macron and Emmanuel Macron? Why are they defending a sitting president of a failing country? Right now, France is in turmoil. It's a mess. Okay. So when you look at that, why would, especially Americans, why would you have any skin in that? Why wouldn't you look at the evidence? Even if you don't like Candace, okay, fine, you don't like Candace, but that does not discredit the evidence. That doesn't discredit the journalists that have done the actual work, who wrote the original book that Candace just translated, just brought the information to an English-speaking audience. But listen to this one now.
It is time for you to wake up. So we will start from the top here with a photo of Brigitte Macron. Real name, Jean-Michel Trogneau. That person that you are looking at on the right is not a woman. Okay, here is a photo, by the way, just over the years, Jean-Michel Trogneau, as he became Brigitte. As I said, the evidence for this is overwhelming. That second photo, I believe they found a photo of him at a pride parade when he was just living as a homosexual man. That next photo is when the transition began, if I recall correctly, and that's a photo from the professor years. And the professor years of Brigitte Macron is when he statutorily Emmanuel Macron. Those are not the prerequisites, by the way. To becoming a leader of a world country, you gotta be in drama class, like Zelensky. You gotta be a homosexual, like a lot of them tend to be. And are the new prerequisites that you need to have something in your closet like this, and the entire state is gonna work feverishly to protect the secret?
So, and to drive home, how far reaching this is, and this isn't just about, what they do in their bedroom, and it's just, why are we not minding our business? Okay, we're talking about children here. We're talking about grooming. We're talking about PDF files. That's what I'll call it, PDF, okay? So when you look at these things in totality, the fact that anyone can defend the Macrons is absolutely asinine, or they're gaslighting, or they're paid. I don't know what it is, but you cannot have an agenda to hate somebody so much that you won't absorb information, at least hear it out, and just to call it crazy and dismiss it. And this is a tactic that I'm seeing. People will say it's crazy. This person's a conspiracy theorist. They'll throw out names. They'll do all of these different things, right? They'll dox you. They'll try to destroy your life. But what they can never do is refute the evidence, which I would think would be pretty simple. If you're a woman, I can easily prove I'm a woman, okay? Any woman is not even offended by it. You don't sue about that. It doesn't make sense logically, to do all of these things. But again, to drive home how deep this goes and how dark it could possibly go, again, you have to watch the whole series to get all of the information. But take a listen to this.
The worst thing that could possibly happen after you gloriously drop a 200-page lawsuit to try to convince the world that you guys really are not perverts is for your wife's wife, to then get arrested and swept up in news, named as the suspect of having organized a pedophile ring in Africa. I kid you not. I kid you not. That is what is happening right now. Brigitte's cousin, a man named Pierre Roberts, he is swept up in this child sex trafficking ring that was going on in Africa. A very big ring, by the way, which included people intentionally inoculating victims with HIV. Okay? So a couple days ago, they arrested this 40-year-old. His name is Adrian B. And they're questioning him. They've been working on this for months. And it turns out that Brigitte's cousin Pierre is suspected as the instigator of the entire network. Okay? He's suspected of having organized and ordered the rapes of disadvantaged youth in Senegal and in Morocco. He did this, they are alleging, both for his personal pleasure, but also because he wanted to make videos of the abuse and share it within his pedo-criminal circles. Again, I'm not kidding. This is real. You can look this up in Le Parisien. You can look up Pierre Roberts. The affair has been exploding in France, and the network even includes people that are or were high up in the military. Last month, a former agent of the most confidential military unit in France got swept up in the affair. His name is Claude G. And it was allegedly he used his military contacts to set up the system throughout African countries. Totally normal stuff, right? I mean, it says
Yeah, and everybody's just crazy. Everybody's just, vindictive. We're going after these people. Yeah. No, these people are just wicked. It's all falling apart. All right, all the lies, all the abuse, like they were just talking about in Africa. All right, purposely infecting people with HIV. This is what they've always been doing. All right, let's get some more scriptures here because again, the scriptures been warning you about this for the longest. One, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Who's orchestrating all this? The wicked. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. All right, let's see, unholy, wicked. All right, without natural affection, hard-hearted, kindred. Purposely affecting someone with a deadly disease. Yeah, I call that. Yeah, I call that hard-hearted towards kindred. Uh, all right, another way to put it: traitors, heady, handed, all right, voluptuous, fond of pleasure. That is, let's see, uh, 5384.
Everybody have a cousin? No, not everybody has a cousin, a friend, a business partner, a family member that is constantly involved in pedocriminality. This is why I cannot listen to anyone that is trying to dress up what is happening in France as like, oh, a podcaster, Candace is just attacking Brigitte. Ew, no, get out of my face, okay? We're not letting this go.
And I want to just finish out with this clip, relating back to the idea that they are actually blood related and possibly be the father. Take a look at this and you tell me in the comments what you think about it.
Is it your view, and it's fine if you don't have a view on this, that Jean-Michel Trogneau fathered children before he transitioned to Brigitte?
Alors, sur la question de la vie de
Hi, my name is Simon. I'm here together with Cameron from Aerolit, who is the
Michel.
So on the question of Jean-Michel Trogneau's life, for the moment, it's a dotted one. We know that Brigitte Macron was born Jean-Michel Trogneau on February 11th, 1945, and that she lived under this identity at least until 1963. Then, there are two children who were declared by Jean-Michel Trogneau, one named Jean-Jacques Trogneau and the other Valérie. This raises questions of, would this potentially be Brigitte Macron's son? Well, this Jean-Jacques Trogneau looks like a spitting image of Emmanuel Macron. What's all that about?
Do you then have any opinion or view or lead on who was the mother then of Jean-Jacques and Valérie?
Yes, it's a woman.
I know that much.
C'est une femme qui s'appelle Véronique Dreux.
It's a woman named Véronique Dreux. She's a retired woman who was remarried to an important aristocrat from Amiens and undoubtedly raised children of Jean-Michel Trogneau. I had a strange phone call with Véronique because while we were speaking, I realized in the background there were a bunch of people around listening to our conversation, and I asked to have some pictures and when I could
Bear with me. There we go.
obtain these, but Véronique said she would have to ask Brigitte first. I found that quite odd for a response to my question. I believe that once Emmanuel Macron is no longer in power, Pandora's box will be opened, people will start to speak, and this family's secret, which is so closely guarded, will start to unveil itself. I also believe the fall from grace for Macron will be quite severe. There's also an interesting shift in the media where news
And for the presidents of France was just sent to prison. Get his name off with this French. Hey, these are all freaks. What do you think they be freaking off in Africa and all these other so-called third world countries? Let's see. Here it is. What's his name? Sarkozy. Sarkozy. Here it is. This bastard here. He was just sent up the river. Nicolas Sarkozy has become the first French ex-president to go to jail as he starts a 5-year sentence for conspiring to fund his election campaign with money from late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Oh. Not since World War II, Nazi collaborationist leader Philippe was jailed for treason in 1945. So 80 years. Oh. This guy's 70. He just might, not make it out. Small cell with TV and 1 hour's daily exercise.
Outlets such as the equivalent of the New York Times in France, who in the past have not paid any sort of noticeable attention to the fact that Brigitte is a man, have now started placing her name in quotation marks, hinting at the fact that things might not be as they seem. Even Le Monde, who for the past 12 years propped up Brigitte Macron, has now admitted that Emmanuel Macron was 14 when he met Brigitte. It used to be a conspiracy theory, but now as Emmanuel Macron nears his term's end, the secrets are coming out one by one and being acknowledged more.
And I want to leave this picture here. So the person on the left is actually Brigitte Macron's son, supposedly from her first marriage. And then on the right, you have Emmanuel Macron, who is now her husband. When the image in the middle is when you combine their faces, and they even went through and used like the best facial recognition software in the world throughout this entire investigation. But they put together the percentage of like the match of how them being related, and it was really high. I can't remember the number. I'll have to go through all of Candace's videos and try to pull out some of these facts. But you tell me, to me, the one on the left looks like a broke down Walmart, Temu, I don't know, experimented version of Macron. Like, could be his brother, could be a cousin. I don't know, but they look so much alike just in facial structure. Again, the one on the left is a much uglier version of Macron. But you can clearly see these people are related, and it is believed. Again, this is alleged. I can't prove this, right? But this is alleged, and this is what I personally believe.
I have to put that out there. Allegedly. Right? Get it straight. But look at all this evidence so far. All right?
This is my personal opinion. I don't have facts that they are brothers. So if Brigitte Macron's son, right? When you may say, well, how could she have kids if she's a man? And like you said, impregnated, it was living as a man. You can have kids with a woman, and I mean, you guys know how it works, okay? Giving birth or having children doesn't mean that you're a woman. That can come a lot of ways. Or if you are a man, you can still father children and then transition into a woman and pawn them off as though you gave birth to them. Again, this is alleged. But that is my belief. So when people ask that question, like that was like the biggest thing we're saying, how could she have kids how could she have kids if she's a man? Like, it's just so brain dead, even the logic that people twist themselves into to try to refute this without going through every shred of evidence and refuting it all. And again, like I said, the Macrons have given no evidence to refute this, not that I've seen. And they've been asked over and over throughout the years, and especially through this investigation. They've proven nothing. It's just shouting down, how could you do this? And the question, like, how does she have kids if it's a man? Like, guys, open your eyes. Like, when they tell you don't look at something, don't ask about something, and then when they try to sue you or destroy your life for even asking those questions, that is a sign that you are over the target, and usually they have no defense to anything. So again, like I said, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you guys real soon.
So there you go. Let me finish this out in 2 Timothy. All right. For such, for of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. All right. Motley, that is, various in character, and of course, lust, concupiscence, desire, lust. Let's look up concupiscence, right? Right? Strong sexual desire, lust. All right, let's go to dictionary. Okay. All right, get all them synonyms. Sexual desire, lust, ardent, usually sensuous longing. All right. Grimoire. They let me down this time. go to Cambridge. That's kind of unusual for dictionary.com. Yeah. All right. All right. Hey, Catholic Encyclopedia. Okay. I get it. Lightest expectation, concupiscence, any yearning of the soul for good. It is strict and specific excitation, a desire of the lower appetite, contrary to reason. All right. Again, like I said, the Catholic Church should know. All right. The object of the former is the gratification of the senses. All right. Let's see. Hence, desires contrary to the real good in order of reason. All right. Oh, okay. Okay. Concupiscence is of itself sinful, and being the sinful corruption of human nature. All right. All right. All right. Process. All right. Oops. There we go. Ardent desire, improper or illicit desire, lustful feeling, 14th century, mid 14th century. All right. To be very desirous of. All right. Long for. I think everybody gets it by now. Illicit desire, illicit. All right. To covet. All right. So we're going to end it right there. Again, let's get some of the comments. All it takes is a DNA test. Pay up, Piers Morgan. I think he had a bet or something. Uh, yeah, Piers, when you pay up, please send your money directly to the sources that protect children and not some half-assed organization where it's a front for other BS. uh, let's see. Piers Morgan is a high-level psychological operator. He has never paid, all right? See, it's a heck. Y'all slow as fuck. Piers Morgan is one of the worst things about England. It takes some special kind of moron to get kicked out of the USA. It was a hack, y'all. Well, that settles it then. Thank you for your diligent investigative efforts. So just show us the proof and we'll move on. All right. My point earlier, the world is being run by some really powerful and depraved sociopaths. All right. Worse than that, demons. All right. Epstein defiled. All right, that's gonna do it. I'm not gonna, you read all this yourself. I'll put a description, the link in the description. But yeah, this is, scripture say the basis of men, that's Daniel 4:17, was put over us, This is it. Wow. So with that, once again, I hope whoever views this video has been edified. Is what we do here at Great Millstone. And once again, remain circumspect out here. So until the next video, hey, shalom.